Okay, good afternoon. What I'm going to do in this video is talk you through the best way to construct a cue card for Frankenstein. Trying to take them up a level from some of the ones we saw for Romeo and Juliet. So the first thing is you're going to be using this handout in the main. I've called it Frankenstein Gold Only, which has some of the big themes on the front. Excuse me. It has loads of detail on the gold quotations and then some things to do with the themes on the back. So you'll be getting that later in the year in what we call an ultimate revision pack. And I think it is useful to do things with information because in effect what you're doing in English is you're trying to sort of make connections. The more that you process one idea to another and rejig things into different formats, the more chance you've got of remembering it. And across English as a whole, you'll see links between your literature texts and some of the skills and some of the language techniques can be useful when you come on to your English language writing, for example. So everything complements each other, and the more you do, the more confident you get across all the range of disciplines. So, first of all, here's one I prepared earlier, as they say on Blue Peter. The gold quotation is ready. Now, last time, not everybody did a clean version. I'd like you to think about doing a clean version on one side and then an annotated version on the other, because that means that it can become a resource later that you can test yourself. If you've only got an annotated version, then how do you know whether you know it without being able to talk about the other version? So another thing that I think will be good this time is if you can think about making all the comments to do with AO2, which is the language and the language features, perhaps do those in one colour. So, for example, we've got disgust filled my heart. So we've got there a metaphor, okay, the heart filling with disgust, and this idea that Victor is repulsed. So in terms of a appeal paragraph, we can say Shelley uses a metaphor. We can take that a little bit further as well. We have the idea of a dream and horror. They're both abstract nouns. And obviously as well they are binary opposites, and so we've got this idea of all Victor's work that he'd been very hopeful and optimistic about turning into something dreadful in a very short space of time. So I always think it's good to identify the micro quotations as well as the overall language feature at that point. And you can see clearly there, you probably start with the metaphor and then you might move on to the micro quotations and you might move on to some other words as well. So I'll talk in a moment's time about the idea of the horror being breathless being an adjective. So we have to get some marks for AO3 as well, though. And if you're wondering about AO1, that is just your general understanding and ability to quote and respond to the question. So for AO3, we're looking at those other big issues. And again, what I did was I just looked through this and thought, well, which of those is relevant and can I link to this quotation? So first of all, we've got perhaps the idea of creation. Okay. That's important in this quotation. Creation has gone wrong. We've got the concept of science, but science pushed too far. And we know that the Romantics were worried about the idea that science was becoming too dominant. So Romantics were concerned. And because of that, we can probably say that that the whole piece, and this is a good example, is an allegorical warning about the dangers of pursuing science, because the moment that Victor gets where he wants, things go wrong. In this sequence as well, the word horror, he's reacting to the creature, and so there might be a chance there to talk about physiognomy. And the notions there of just how evil the monster looked. But to go back to this word breathless, I like this word breathless particularly because just at the moment that the creature gets breath, Victor is left breathless. And I think that echoes what we call this symbiotic relationship. And that's the idea that Victor and the creature are inextricably linked. They are part of one another. And I think that, that idea that Victor's breath is the monster's breath or vice versa, and at the moment the monster gets breath, Victor is left without breath, there is a relationship there, there's a physical link between the two. And so you see that in a very short space of time we've got now a cue card that has got plenty to develop into a appeal paragraph rather than just one or 2 points.